Good afternoon, and good evening, viewers. Welcome once more to Requiem for London. Our scene is set this night at the docks in London. A fog rolls in, which is not uncommon. People go from warehouse to warehouse, from ship to warehouse, moving crates and other goods to be stored until they will eventually meet their final resting place somewhere in London or beyond. But we draw our audience's attention to one such individual, one who is just sort of looking over the docks. Although he is in no means hidden, he just sort of leans upon one of the wooden poles holding up the docks, looking out over the sea as the fog rolls on, shadows obscured by the lamplight and the fog. Almost like a ghost, just looking out over this timeless moment. The individual, to those who would pass by if they were to pay any attention to this man dreamily looking over the harbor, would have blonde hair, a very large coat over him to keep away from the chill, although those with particularly heightened senses would know that he doesn't need to. His eyes are of a hazel color, but again, you would have to be very close indeed in order to find that out. But as this individual will soon discover, he is not alone in his silent contemplation. The one he has sought out, the one he is hoping would show up, one of the management, as it were, for this city-state of the kindred, has arrived a few minutes ago. What does she do, shrouded by more than just the London fog?
As this newcomer to town is looking out over the docks and the water as the light dances in the reflection of the street light, passerbys come and go, some people carrying cargo, some people going to inspect ships. He would watch a group of people pass by who don't particularly notice him, but perhaps 30 seconds after that group passes by, Mortimer notices someone standing next to him. He doesn't recall hearing her approach. He doesn't recall her tapping on the shoulder, and yet she's there. She is a youngish woman, appears to be mid-20s, well-dressed in a charcoal gray suit with a pair of boots. She has a stylish messenger bag slung on her shoulder. She, too, is almost mimicking his posture, looking out into the water. She doesn't look at him, but all of a sudden he will hear her say, "Mr. Fitzgerald."
At that, I will need to roll a resolve plus composure to try and not jump out of my skin. Could you please give me 4 dice?
I can.
Ooh. So with a, he just sort of jumps and looks to the side and goes, oh my goodness. Sorry, I hope I didn't startle you by being startled. Good evening, as he sort of looks at you, then begins to sense the kindred spirit, as the word goes. I take it that you are Miss Abruzzo.
Adriana smirks as he kind of jumps out of the skin a little bit. It's refreshing to meet a kindred who is sincere and not rude or arrogant or snarky, um, she'll turn and extend her hand, and she'll say, "Yes, I am. And you are Mr. Fitzgerald, are you not?"
As he will extend his hand and shake it, but then he'll smile, and it will, let's see, a very charming smile, since he does have pretty good presence, as he says, "Oh, I'm very glad that word has got around of my arrival. I wasn't sure if the right people would get the message. It has been quite a while since I have uh, taken to the arts, as it were." And he'll give you a knowing wink.
Again, she will kind of smirk a little bit, not in a hostile way, but she'll respond, "Well, whether or not the right people get their information, I'm certainly the one it usually lands on." And she will lean against the railing that he was looking out on, and she says, "Well, these are interesting times in London. Uh, what can I do for you?"
As he will just sort of put his hands together, and he'll nervously tap them ever so slightly. Adriana's getting the impression that what he's about to say next is very precise, and something he's probably been thinking about for a while, specifically how to deliver this message. And whether or not he accomplishes his goals will determine upon how what he's about to say is taken. But then, the moment is upon him, and he says, "Well, I came here because there's a friend of mine who is in need. She has a very important personal mission that she is on, and as a colleague and as someone I highly respect, I am obliged to assist her in that. So I have come from Boston to here, and do not get me wrong, I do not intend to set a permanent residence in this fair city, although it does have the most fascinating quality about itself as he and sort of stares out over the fog as it drifts by. There's a certain aesthetic to this place that I just adore, that reminds me a little bit about where I come from. But that is neither here nor there. The problem is that I spent a considerable amount of money of both my own account and my followers' account, and I need assistance to get my friend into the city without greeting the day, as it were."
She listens very carefully to him kind of wax poetic about London, and she her expression doesn't change. She just kind of observes him very carefully. You can almost feel this, the flatness coming off her. She's certainly, if you were to guess what clan she was in, it wouldn't be Deva.
Hmm.
um,
He might actually do a wits plus composure to see if he can maybe pick up some of the telltale signs. He is quite fascinated by the clans.
I think the fact that she just kind of appeared next to him, he's gonna think she's either Maquette or Nosferatu. But yeah, go ahead. So how many dice?
Let's see, would this be more... I guess wits plus composure, that would be 5 for him. Or maybe wits plus empathy, which would be...
Yeah, I think empathy would probably be more
Okay, then.
suited.
Let's see. In that case, it's still going to be 5.
They usually are the same. All right, go
Oh.
Morty.
So again, he just looks at you, and as he does so, you'll notice that he starts to study you just a tiny bit. It's almost... He's sort of distracted just for the brief minute from this moment he was waiting for, as though something shiny has caught his attention and he's just fascinated by it. And he does look at not just you, but also how you handle yourself, how you're standing. Maybe it looks like the gears are turning by how you're saying, or what you are saying specifically, and why you might be. He
Uh,
then smiles. But
Adriana is, after she's through observing him, she will say, "So let me understand this correctly. You have a friend who is family to us, who you need to get into the city. Is that correct?"
He'll nod, but he won't say anything more. Again, he's just very fascinated by, I guess, trying to get a read on Adriana. You almost get the feeling that he finds it as a challenge, but then he'll just sort of shake his head and force himself back onto the topic and say, that is entirely correct.
She will turn on her heel and motion for him to follow her, and she says, "Walk with me."
As he'll just sort of walk next to you, then, his hands in his pockets, a very loose step, but you can tell that the beast is very intent on listening to what is going on, as his victory may be close at hand or about to be dashed. But again, he does put on a very good display of two friends casually walking through the London fog. Or perhaps just one, he is not sure how skilled this individual is in the arts of stealth, as it were.
As they walk together, any passerby may pick up on Mortimer's, you know, I guess boyish good looks traveling through the crowd. But Adria is unremarkable to anyone passing by, as is kind of the hallmark of her clan and these specialties she's decided to devote herself in lying low. She speaks to Mortimer, and she says, "I'm sure I don't have to tell you that friends in this life are few and far between. It's good you have one, but they can also lead you directly into trouble. Are you certain you want to stick your neck out for this person?"
Mortimer smiles, but it's a very bittersweet smile, as though you really did say something that hit home to what has been recently happening to him, but he'll just say, Miss Abruzzo, I gave my word that I would help my friend. And what type of person am I if I abandon my word, because it is convenient?
She smiles as he says that, and she responds, "A man of principle. That's rare to find these days." She says a little ruefully, which leads you to believe that she doesn't believe that, but it's refreshing to see in him. And she says, "I have to tell you, my specialty is security, and I know nothing about this individual you're bringing into the city. So I'm going to need a little bit more information before I commit to anything. And I apologize if you feel I'm prying, but
No,
safety
no,
first."
this is par for the course. It's back in my home city. I have maybe not worked, but I have worked for your August sect. I am familiar with the song and dance. Her name is Chloe Brothers. She is not of the same family as I. She is a bit savage, if you know what I mean. She is also unbound. However, before that completely uh, proves to be a detriment to any business transactions between ourselves, I would like to also tell you that she too has worked often for.
She quirks an eyebrow when he says unbound, as certainly there are certain sects that her sire, the sheriff, would love to see denied an additional member. Uh, as they walk, she says, "Again, I apologize for prying, but is this individual in some kind of trouble?"
Out of character for a second, I got
Sure.
distracted. Did you say that you suspect she's a member of the Invictus or that she's unaligned?
No, that when you said unbound, I said that Adriana was thinking her sire would be more happy if someone was coming in and not going to necessarily one of the other covenants right off the bat.
All right, then. So
Yeah.
at that point, he will just say, she likes her independence, but she is not against working for the powers that be. Back in our hometown, she was a courier, and a very, very good one. She knew the streets like the back of her hand, and she was able to deliver every message she was ever given on time and to the right individual without being deterred by those who would want that information. She is the epitome of a messenger you would want in your employ.
Adriana sighs and she pauses and she looks out at the water for a moment. And she says, I'm not going to lie to you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Things are not easy here. And I don't know if I would tell a friend that this would be an ideal place to come, but if you have something to offer, and perhaps if your friend does, I can see some arrangements that will at least make her arrival a smooth one.
As he will smile as he knew this part was coming, he will then say, well, while she may be unbound, I consider myself a proud member of one of the acolytes in my home city of Boston. And not only that, I do have a modest side group of individuals who do love to follow me around. I have been using them with my studies, but also as a means to uphold the masquerade.
1 second, I'm sorry.
No, no problem. And now for a bit of light jazz. Okay, that's too tiring. Again, sorry everyone, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Um, and now for a bit of a monologue by Mortimer Fitzgerald. London. London, a city shrouded in fog and secrets. Oh, I have always wanted to visit this place, to walk down its time worn halls, to visit all of the secret nooks and crannies of this great and impossibly old city. But alas, I am but one individual kindred with my devout group of herd, and there is only so much we can do without aid. But lo, for an acolyte myself to come to such a city, especially after how I left my own, I do not know if I will be welcomed right away, for it is not in our covenant's nature to be accepting to those who have not proven themselves. I must prove myself to the acolytes of this city, and soon. But am I willing to compromise my own beliefs? For I do firmly believe that we are a blessed lot, we kindred of the night. Perhaps time will tell. Oh, if only my friend had not devoted herself so thoroughly into the pursuit of one individual. It is what led to this, and it is what is going to keep me in the city away from Boston, my home, the place I was born, the place I was embraced, and the place where the mysteries of the night were opened up to me. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. This has been a monologue by Mortimer Fitzgerald. And now, back to some light jazz. Okay, enough of the lies. It's not light jazz, it's just me humming. Again, still experiencing technical difficulties. Again, still experiencing technical difficulties.
I have returned.
And we are
My
back.
apologies.
No prob. I was just humming bad light jazz and delivered a full monologue by Mortimer Fitzgerald about his state of mind. So we continued to the scene.
So I think we left off. I was asking, what did you want to give in return?
And he will say that he was an acolyte in Boston. He has a small group of followers with him. They investigate areas of occult significance and then use their reputation as a amateur paranormal society to basically cover masquerade breaches and dissuade individuals from going there by, how do you put it, pulling a Stoker.
She smiles and she says, "I'll tell you what. I will take that into consideration. Thank you for that. As long as information on your friend checks out and you feel that she is not going to be a threat, I will give you a place where she can be dropped, and we can go from there."
Well, here is the thing, and this is where he begins to just sort of tighten up, because this is going to be either the nail in the coffin or the last thing that checks out. She has been known to have a temper, but only to those who antagonize her. I was led to believe, from what my resource have told me, is that this city is relatively peaceful right now, that there is no open fighting on the street, and that the sort of rivalries that develop do not normally spill into the workplace, as it were.
She looks down for a moment and then looks over at Mortimer and says, "What clan?"
One of the savages.
I have yet to meet one that isn't prone to those sort of outbursts, but this is also a city of decorum, Mr. Fitzgerald, and if she gets out of line, it will be dealt with, and she needs to be made to understand that.
As he will just nod his head.
She says again, "I will do what I can, and we'll see if we can make it work. I don't bear ill will to those who don't earn it. You understand?"
Of course.
She'll reach into her bag and pull out her card and hand it to him. And she says, "Contact me when you are ready to make arrangements."
You got it. And if you need to contact me for anything, and again, uh, for this aid, feel free to contact me at any time, as he'll hand you his own business card. Just, my business hours are nightly, of course.
She will nod, and something out on the water catches Mortimer's eye, and as he's looking out, she will kind of say in a low tone, she won't whisper it, but she will say, "Welcome to London, Mr. Fitzgerald." And when he turns to respond to her, she is not there.
Oh, I've got to write about this in my journal later. And with that, he will just sort of walk away with a pep in his step and a song in his heart. And as Adriana goes off into the night, she might look down at the card, and the name that is on it is the Mythic League, and then a phone number beneath it. And as these two kindred walk into the fog-shrouded streets of London, our scene ends. Thank you all for watching and for your patience, and have a wonderful night.